Hello niggas, welcome to the channel. This is our first video we're gonna be making here. We're gonna be reacting to 4 true creepy Target horror and sorry, cut that shit up. We're gonna be reacting to 4 creepy Target horror stories animated. I can't record the TV screen, so I'm recording like my face on the phone, and I'm just gonna watch it on the TV. But when I'm editing it, you'll just see the video there. It won't be like me in real time touching the video.
Nigga, what?
Wait, whoa, okay, yeah, you get it. Anyway, so let's get right into it. We're gonna watch like 2 of these. So, yep, let's go.
I used to work at Target many years ago.
Alright.
At the time,
Turn this shit up.
they were still open 24/7. So I took the overnight shift as a stalker. I was a night owl in college, so that fit into my schedule the best. As much as Target gets rightfully criticized for being a terrible employer, I actually think it was a decent job for where I was in life. It's common knowledge how strange some of the people that come into the store are. But things are way worse.
I remember applying there once when I was like 15 years old. You know, I probably didn't get the job because I said I was a legal alien.
But there were occasions when I was hit on or harassed by crazy people. It didn't usually get that bad. But there was this one guy.
Oh, hell no. This guy looks like Michael Jackson, bro.
He was one of the main reasons I ended up quitting before I was finished with college. He came into the store on a freezing cold night in December, long after the hours of the store was still full of customers.
In California, by the way.
There was barely anyone there except for a few.
See by the hat here.
I was crouched down, stuffing boxes of pasta.
There's like a
when I
Fed
noticed a
tribe under
man
the
walk
bridge.
past the entrance to the aisle.
Under a bridge
A
near
moment
one.
later, he
They're
reappeared
everywhere,
at the end of the
really.
shelves, but he didn't walk into it just then. He stared at me instead. I could see it out of the corner of my eye, but I tried to ignore him. He lingered long enough for me to get a read on him from just a few glances. He was disheveled and dirty, not carrying anything, and a stench of stale feces and urine was already wafting over from him. Eventually, he started walking toward me. Once he was about 5 feet away, he stopped and stared down at me again. By then, the odor of his filth was overpowering. After a few unbearable seconds of silence, he finally opened his mouth and asked where he could find popcorn. I pointed it out to him and he walked away.
Bro, get a toothbrush.
But I noticed something weird as I watched him go out of the aisle. He had a strange limp as he walked, almost a waddle.
He's strapped.
He reached back and
how do you have enough
his
for a
crotch,
gun and can't get like some deodorant
adjusting something inside his pants. Just before he walked out of sight, I confirmed there had to be something inside his pants. Whatever it was big, and it was sandwiched between his cheeks by his waistband.
Oh my god.
I didn't want to imagine what it could be, but I came up with a few possibilities before I successfully pushed it out of my mind. None of them were good. Thankfully, a few minutes later, I had already forgotten about it. I got back into my stocking flow and wasn't thinking about anything in particular. Just passively longing for the day when I could get out of this menial job and do something more interesting for a living. I was snapped out of my trance by the reappearance of the putrid man.
Oh my god, bro.
Once again, he stood at the end of the aisle and stared. This time there was a slight smile on his face. He returned without any popcorn. I knew that out of everything in the store, the only thing he was interested in was me.
Fucking
He
disciple.
approached me again.
Oh hell
stepping
no.
a bit closer than the previous encounter. The rank stench almost made me gag. I didn't want to look at him or even be around him, but he kept talking to me, trying to flirt. He said he couldn't help but come up and tell me how sexy I was.
Oh hell no.
To which I reply with a simple thanks.
Bro, if you're gonna try, at least get
He pressed me for information
clothes,
about where I lived, how old I was, if I had a boyfriend, all the typical stuff creeps feel entitled to ask. I gave fake answers to everything, trying to give him every reason in the world to stop talking to me. but none of it worked. Eventually, he asked for my number, saying we should get together and make a baby with my beautiful genes.
Oh, hell no.
I declined outright at first. But after he asked me multiple times and made it clear that he wouldn't take no for an
this
answer,
fucking disciple.
I finally copped out and gave him a fake number.
Okay.
He walked away with a big grin on his face, as if he thought he had actually chatted me up and had a chance of getting in my pants behind whatever dumpster he lived by. Once again,
He lives in the
I
dumpster,
noticed
not
that weird
behind it.
limp and the impression of something big in his pants as he walked away. But I was no closer to figuring out what it was. After I finished unloading the cart, I took it to the back end of the store to get a full one. I needed a break after that guy, so I purposely stalled around by the door. Nobody was around to catch me slacking off. I figured I could stand there for about 5 whole minutes without anyone bothering me. Right as I was about to finally leave, the man busted through the door, screaming in my face and threatening to kill me for giving him a fake number. I jumped back in shock, hiding behind the boxes on the cart. The rotting creep asked me if I wanted to know what he did to people that lied to him.
Oh.
I didn't know
happened to
what that
Michael
meant,
Jackson,
so of course
man?
I said no and asked him
Ever
to calm
since they
down.
lied about him on
It
the
had no
news,
effect.
he's just been going
Then,
downhill since, man.
Right in front of my eyes. To my horror,
Oh, hell no, what is it?
he reached back and stuck his hand down his pants, about to grab something and take it out.
Stop scratching your ass, bro.
I screamed and sprinted out the door. He tried to grab me as I passed him, but I escaped with just a scratch from his filthy fingernail.
God.
I ran
Bro,
out of the
that's-
store and into
you're
my
getting
car.
infected, bro. You
It
gotta
was much
clean that shit
slower
out, or
and couldn't catch
you're about to
up.
get
But as I
infected.
pulled out of the parking lot, I looked back and saw him standing in front of the store, holding something I couldn't make out. I drove off and called the night manager to tell him what was happening. It took him a minute to understand why I wasn't coming back for the night, but he did call the cops to find the man. However, he wasn't there by the time they arrived. That scratch on my arm ended up getting infected badly and needed antibiotics. That just goes to show how disgusting he was.
Yeah, I was right. Hey, what the hell?
Yet,
I was right.
To this day,
I
still
knew he
don't
needed,
know
yeah.
what he was about to
just
pull out
joking.
of his pants, or whatever horrible experience I managed to escape from. I can only imagine the worst.
All right.
Target was the worst place I ever worked at. But it isn't Target's fault. I had recently graduated from college and got a new apartment with an old friend of mine, but I couldn't find a job in my area of expertise in time, so I had to get a day job to make ends meet.
All right.
Target accepted my application.
Okay.
Of course, I quickly grew to despise working there.
Real.
I couldn't relate to any of my coworkers. Most of them were generally lifeless and irritable people. Something about that place was soul-sucking. The customers were weird and often aggressive. The job itself was repetitive and menial, and the management was insufferable. In my short stint
Hey,
as
do
a
y'all
Target
guys want to
employee,
see some gaming
I
videos or
cashiered,
something? I'll be
stocked,
down
cleaned,
100%.
did customer service,
we do
and walked around as
reaction
a general
content,
associate
gaming
helping
content.
customers.
Yeah, we do a lot on this
Usually.
channel.
The days I
I'm-
got to spend walking around were my
I don't want
favorite.
to yap right now, but
However,
let's watch this.
the worst day I ever
Yeah,
spent
comment
working
down
at
below
Target
if you want to see some gaming videos.
was the
Play
day
some
when I
Baldi's
happened to be
Basics,
walking around.
Granny, Friday Night Funkin'.
Everything was fine
a
for the
lot of
first
good
hour or
stuff.
so. I was actually having a somewhat pleasant shift. But then, my rare little rosy moment was incinerated by the sound of one voice. Someone behind me
Oh.
called my name. I recognized
Female,
the
did
voice
he?
like a shell-shocked soldier remembers the sound of artillery fire. I didn't even have to turn around to know who it was. It was my ex-girlfriend,
Nick.
Samantha. I'd broken up with her nearly a year ago. She was beautiful and amazing in bed, but everything else about her was a nightmare. She was diagnosed bipolar as a teenager,
Oh shit.
but had been refusing to take her prescribed medication ever since she started going to
Oh
college.
shit.
Her particular case was severe, though she refused to seek help. As a partner in a relationship, she was paranoid, controlling, jealous, and violent. I was never seriously hurt or traumatized by her, but once the force of nature compelling me to breed subsided, I realized I had made a grave mistake by getting with her. I broke things off, sparking several hellish months of repercussions. I blocked her on everything, but she incessantly found ways to contact me and find out where I would be to confront me, either begging for forgiveness and a chance to talk things through or screaming at me about how I was a horrible person. I continuously shut her down, and while things got dicey for a while, she eventually calmed down and seemed to finally disappear from my life. I hadn't seen her in months. I thought she was finally gone. In that moment, I heard her voice. My blood turned ice. She was standing right behind me. When I turned around, what was already an awful circumstance for me became the absolute worst case scenario. There she was, grinning and staring me down with empty eyes as always.
Get a job, bro.
But instead of wearing a skimpy outfit,
you like your boyfriend here. I mean, your ex. Get a job, man. Gotta get over it, bro. What? Oh shit, she did.
Target vest.
Right,
my heart sank to the floor.
Everything's all
I couldn't even speak.
Up to standards
but
here.
Samantha was giddy with excitement. She told me she had just gotten a job at Target, not knowing that I was working there, and had randomly been assigned to me for training.
Oh, fuck.
She said it must have been divine intervention, that it was a sign that we were meant to be together.
Oh, hell no.
I tried to open my mouth to disagree, but I was in shock.
The shotgun.
I could hardly fathom what was happening to me, much less form coherent words. What I wanted to say was, what the hell are you doing here? Why can't you get it through your head that I never want to see you again in my life?
I think I'm very funny.
None of it came out. Samantha approached me, but I managed to back away. She pouted and refrained from coming any nearer, then sheepishly asked if we could be professional and do her training if I didn't want to talk about things. At a complete loss, I went along with it. I finally got my voice back and barely managed to start explaining things to her. We were all right for a few minutes while I kept my eye on her, bashfully smiling and trying to look cute and innocent, but I knew it was all a facade. As soon as I turned my back on her, she grabbed my arm. I immediately ripped her hand off of me and physically recoiled, looking at her with anger and disgust in my heart, just before briskly walking off to my manager's office. Samantha followed me inside. The manager looked up from his computer with confusion on his face. I wasted no time explaining to my boss that I refused to train Samantha on account of her negative history together. What he said in response made my face go numb.
We don't care, bro. Money's rent's due.
He told me he had never hired anyone named Samantha, and he had never seen a woman standing over my shoulder in his life. I looked back at Samantha in pure terror. She was smiling like I had never seen her smile before. It was half childish embarrassment at being caught doing something bad, and half
she bought like a Target vest on eBay or some
truly
shit?
evil person inflicting suffering on another person. I was once again unable to speak. My manager ordered Samantha to leave and told her to stop impersonating a Target employee or he would have her arrested. He was polite enough to give me a few minutes to put myself back together before having me go back to work. The rest of the day was strange. I don't remember much of it. I spent most of it thinking about how scared I was of Samantha. Finally, at around 10 p.m., I was free to go home. I walked out into a dimly lit, mostly empty parking lot. My car was parked all the way at the back. I opened my car door and sat down. In the car. But before I could get my left foot inside, I felt a hand grab my leg, and then a searing pain sliding across my ankle. I looked down screaming and saw Samantha's hand grabbing my ankle with a knife in her other hand. She had sliced right across my Achilles tendon.
Oh, stop tweaking!
I could literally see it in 2 pieces. Then, she slid out from under the car, smiling, saying something I'll never forget. "You can't run from me now." But I did anyway. With my right foot, I stomped her head as hard as I could.
Bro,
she let go,
I'd get the shotgun,
giving me a chance to hobble back to the store. She was dazed and
get it down like with any cockroach.
When the cops arrived,
that's disgusting.
Samantha was gone.
Come on, man.
And I was taken to the hospital.
You don't walk.
She was arrested later and eventually sentenced to over a decade in prison. After many months' recovery and physical therapy,
I say some dumb shit.
I could walk
man.
almost normally, but with a slight limp. Shortly before the end of my lease, I got a job offer in a different state. I took it in a heartbeat, knowing Samantha would never be able to find me again.
Oh, she gonna find you.
When I was 15,
Oh, shit.
I lived really close.
Alright, that was the second one. So we're gonna watch one more of these. I know it's 4, but... No, we'll watch all 4. You know what, fuck it, we'll watch all 4. There's a timestamp right here where you can go skip to the reaction to number 3. But I just want to yap for a little bit. So basically, let me tell you a little about me. I've been trying to do YouTube since like December 2022. It's like been 2 years now. I have another separate channel from this, like you know those AI presidents videos. I've been doing some of that, but like with some other characters. Yeah, but yeah. So I've been on YouTube for a while. I've done some gaming videos with like other AI characters, but I've never like put my face. I mean, I have put it on there before, but like I was like never serious with it. So, plus, you know, I want to do like reaction and gaming content with my face because the AI videos I make it's like harder to do because you always gotta have a script. Here I can just talk and just chill out a little bit, you know. And I always be watching YouTube videos anyway, so might as well be making like some reaction content about this. So like might as well like make a business, you know, a little business, like a little side hustle. You'd be watching YouTube anyway, so just fucking react to it on the React channel, like slide and stuff. So, yeah. So, looking forward to making some good memories on this channel. You can see. But anyways, back to the video.
Close to a Target. My parents didn't have a lot of money, and I was able to walk there by myself, so that's where I bought most of my clothes. It was fun to go there with friends whenever they happened to be hanging out at my house, but I went shopping by myself a lot. My parents didn't approve of that, but I always thought what they didn't know wouldn't hurt them. If I had time after school before they got home from work, I liked to sneak a quick trip to Target. One day I had gotten out of school early, so I had almost 4 hours to myself. I blew off my homework and went straight to Target. I wore my headphones and listened to music. It felt good to block out all the noise of the world, and it helped to keep people from trying to talk to me while I was relaxing from the day. When I got to Target, the old greeter lady waved at me to say hi without talking to me. I thought it was funny that we had seen each other so many times, yet we had never once actually spoke. In fact, I recognized many of the employees at the store, and they might have recognized me too, but I never talked to any of them. I would say the normal hello and thank you through my headphones at checkout, but that was it. Going to Target alone wasn't a social experience. It was a time for me to shop and use whatever small amount of money I had to get a new top or a new pair of jeans. It was me time, but of course someone had to ruin it. I was at the shoe rack looking for a new pair of flats when I noticed a man on the other side of the rack
That's
trying
Chris
to talk
Chan
to me,
right there. That's Chris
waving his hand
Chan.
into view. He was short and chubby, maybe in his mid-30s, with a scraggly neck beard.
Look
and
at these
receding hair.
eyebrows. Like, why are
I
they
ignored him
like
at
that?
first, hoping he would get the message and
Get
go
him
away.
down.
He
Push him
persisted.
down, bro.
I gave
What
in
the
and took
hell?
out my headphones to ask him if he was talking to me. He said he was, and he wanted to point out that I looked a lot like his daughter.
Oh,
I didn't know how
okay.
to respond. I couldn't even tell if it was supposed to be a compliment. After hesitating for a second, I finally just said thanks without giving him much positivity to go off of. Then I put my headphones back in and went back to what I was doing. That's when he had the nerve to reach over the rack and tap me on the shoulder. I took my headphones out again, making it quite clear that I was irritated with him. But he was smiling like we had just hit it off. Then he asked me how old I
Boy,
was.
don't get you.
I replied with 14, sternly enough to make it an obvious reason to
hell
stop
no.
talking to me. It didn't take. His response was actually sickening.
Oh, fuck.
He
Hey,
said it was a
Skeeter G.
wonderful age for a
Gideon.
girl,
We got
but
another
not
one
so
right
much
here.
for boys. As I was stunned for a moment, he went on to explain himself unprompted. A girl my age was at the cusp of womanhood but still had the innocence of a child. That's what he said. Before I could come up with anything to say, he asked me my name. I immediately gave him a fake name, Madeline, to which he literally swooned and gushed over how pretty of a name I had. I was starting to feel like my best possible defense was to give in to my
called
hunch
12,
and
called
throw up
12.
on him. The man kept pressing me for information about myself.
Tell this
He
nigga
wanted to know
why
where
are
I
you
lived,
moving like that,
but I
bro?
tried to convince him I was from a different state and just passing through on a trip with my family. When he asked to meet my mom and I couldn't prove she was there, he showed his true nature. He suddenly revealed that he had recognized me from before. He said he'd seen me in the store a few times, and I was always alone.
Bro's
when he
moving
saw
like an
me.
FNF character
thought I
when you
was
press the
lonely.
arrows up.
He
and
thought I
shit.
could use a friend. My
head
world was
up.
turned on its head. How many times had I believed I was alone, only for the truth to be that I was actually being watched and tracked by this creep? I couldn't take it anymore. I flat out ignored him and walked away, putting my headphones back in so I couldn't
That's
hear
where we
him.
go.
I made my way a few sections over and hid in the women's underwear area. I wasn't looking for underwear that day, but I thought it was the safest place to hide from that weirdo. I figured if somebody saw a guy lurking around racks and racks of women's underwear, they would definitely have a problem with it. I was trying to catch my breath and settle down. That creep had given me a nasty shock. My mind was running with all the consequences of knowing he'd been
Bro,
spying
take off
on
the
me.
headphones, bro.
I
Why
wasn't
you
able
still
to go
listening
back
to
to
music,
this
bro?
Target ever again. Certainly not alone. I hoped he hadn't followed me home
Gotta
and found
listen.
where I lived.
Got the
I
fucking
wish I'd been more
EDP
aware of
after
my
you. Gotta
surroundings
take
instead of
that shit
sticking
off and
headphones in
listen.
my ears all the time. Then, a hand cut
Oh.
my shoulder.
Like, bro,
I
you could have heard that if
Turning
you had the
around to see
headphones
the
on.
same
You
creep
could have heard him
standing in
running
front
up
of
to you.
me, his other hand reaching out to touch my face.
That's what you're supposed to do right there.
I
Get your
shoved him
guy out
away
my
on instinct and
face.
sprinted away.
There you go.
I flagged down the nearest Target employee and told them I was being followed by a man I didn't know. They took me over to the manager's office, where they said I could stay until I got picked up,
W
or if I
manager.
wanted the manager to call the police for me. I opted to call my mom. I was already freaking out, and I didn't want the added pressure of a bunch of cops showing up and asking me questions. My mom was upset at me for going alone, but she promised to hold back on scolding me until I was safe. She left work early to pick me up and drop me off at home. For the rest of the day, I looked out my window, waiting for that disgusting creep to show up. Thankfully, he never did. In the summer of 2023, it was
Alright,
blazing
next
hot in
story.
New York City. I had just finished my summer job, and as Labor Day weekend was right around the corner, I really wanted to go on one last vacation before I went back to college. I ultimately decided to go to a lake in the Adirondacks. It was much cooler up there, and I needed a break from the loud noises in the city. I came home on my last day at work and spent most of the night packing for my trip.
Oh, that's like a chill ass
I
crib.
decided to book an Airbnb because it was much less expensive than the overpriced hotels.
Alright.
At 7 a.m. the next morning, I started the long drive to my destination. Around 5 p.m., I arrived at the Airbnb. I walked to the front door and rang the doorbell. I was greeted by an elderly couple, which I assumed to be the owners of the house. The woman introduced herself as Frances, and the husband introduced himself as Evan. They showed me around the house and took me to my room, which I would be
Pretty
sleeping
normal.
in for the next 2 nights. I thanked them.
They kind of
They
look like
seem
they
really
killed
nice.
some people, but
As I
don't
closed the
know.
bedroom
Don't just look by its cover, right?
I noticed that it didn't have a lock on it. I found this a little strange because I was sure the other rooms had locks. However, it was a pretty old room with plenty of other quirks, so I didn't think too much of it. After settling in for a little while, I left to explore the town and get dinner. I came back to the house around 8:30 p.m. When I walked in, I didn't hear or see the couple anywhere. I saw their car parked in the driveway, so I assumed they were home and had gone to bed early. After locking the front door, I showered, got dressed in my pajamas, watched some TV, then read a book before going to bed around 10:30.
Alright.
I made sure the door was closed for privacy, even though I knew I couldn't lock it. The next morning, I woke up to see that the door was now open. And Frances
What
The
the
old lady.
hell?
was watching me from down the hallway. I asked her if she was okay. She was frozen for about 10 seconds,
then finally
Stop
mumbled
tweeting.
something about checking on me to make sure I was okay. Then she walked off.
You're about
I
to get
thought to
murdered,
myself
bro.
that there might be something wrong with her. Why else would she watch me sleep and lie about it? Does she do this to all guests? Is her husband aware of her behavior?
Man,
I
I'd
found
be
it to
out of
be
that
very
house
strange.
at that second, bro.
It
What
didn't
the
seem
fuck are you
right to me.
watching me sleep?
And the fact that the door didn't have a lock
We ain't
made it
doing
seem like
none
it
of
was
that.
planned from the start. However, once I had breakfast and coffee, I forgot about the whole incident. I didn't want to dwell on it and spoil my vacation. I went to go swim and relax at a nearby beach for most of the day. I also took a drive around the large lake by the house. It was very beautiful, and I even considered getting a summer house up there one day. After a long day of being out, I got home around the same time as the previous night, but this time Evan and Francis were awake sitting on the couch. I waved and said hi to them, but neither of them said hi back. I found
They
this
need to
weird,
say hi back.
but while I stood there waiting for a response, I realized that they weren't just ignoring me. The TV was off, and they weren't doing anything except
Oh,
staring
what?
at a black screen. Their eyes were open, but it was like they were sleeping sitting up. It creeped me out, but I decided not to be around it. So I went about the
out of
rest of
this
my
house,
night.
bro. Like, don't
As
investigate.
11 o'clock hit,
Black people, we don't investigate.
I was getting tired and
Heard
decided
everyone
to
say
call it
that.
a night.
Corey Kitchen, Ding Matt
before going to
Smith.
sleep,
We don't investigate.
I
You're
thought about what
100%
happened
right.
that morning.
Don't be
I
investigating.
was really hoping nothing like that would happen again, because I was really thinking that one or both
recently
of the
I was
hosts had some
employed
kind
at
of dimension.
goddamn Spirit Halloween.
What happened
Right?
the next
There was
morning?
a Ouija boards. I don't touch it.
Left me
I don't
mentally
fucking touch it.
scarred.
Why the hell would I touch
It was
some
something
evil
I never
spirit
would have
bullshit?
suspected
Like, come
in a
on.
million years.
We just don't investigate.
When
here.
I woke up, I felt something funny on my body. It took about 30 seconds for me to come to reality. I slowly realized that the covers had been pulled off my body and the bottoms of my pajamas weren't on
Bro,
anymore.
get out of there.
What I saw next was worse than any sleep
It's probably them
paralysis
with an
demon
axe or some
imaginable.
shit.
Right in front of me on the bed, I saw the 70-year-old woman sitting on my legs. I let out a loud scream and pushed the woman off the bed. Then I ran out of the house, taking
hell
only
was
my
she
phone,
doing?
wallet, and car keys. I left everything else behind. I got in the car and sped out of there without looking back. As I was driving, I called 911. I told them
Bro,
everything
what the
that
hell
just
was she
happened,
doing?
struggling to catch my breath. The operator told me to go to the nearest police station.
Nah,
When I
that's
arrived
some
at the
Diddy
station,
shit.
I was a mess, and I could barely speak properly. After talking with the police for about half an hour, they told me that they would investigate their house and question them, but they said they couldn't arrest the woman right away without any evidence. I thanked them for their time and drove all the way back home to the city. I got home around 4. After recovering and thinking about what had happened this morning, something finally hit me. The reason my door had no lock was so they could watch me sleep and do sickening things to me. The husband was either complicit and shut down whenever the woman was
They
doing
better
these
not be
things,
doing what I think they're
or
doing,
worse,
bro. What the
he
hell
was
was
involved.
that?
and I just never saw it. The whole thing was very disturbing. I wondered if the woman had done something like this to their other guests before.
100%.
I decided to report the page and try to get it taken down, but as I looked for the place, I saw that it was no longer available. The woman must have taken it down herself.
Yeah, because
I never heard anything.
they
back
don't
from the
usually
police,
escape.
and I
They're
never
in the
knew if they had
basement.
arrested
All
her.
the other victims.
It's been almost a year now, and this incident
Well, what
pops
the
up
hell
in my
does this have
head
to do
every
with
now and
Target? It's not a
then.
Target.
It makes me want to throw up.
Whatever.
I haven't been to the Adirondacks again after what happened, and I don't plan on going back.
No. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. First video on the channel. Thanks for tuning in. If there are any people tuning in, maybe you could be like the second person viewing this video, because it's gonna be like 5 views on this video or something, or maybe even 0. But you know, I don't care. Appreciate you guys watching the reaction. So maybe this might be the start of an amazing journey. But yeah, maybe. But yeah. But